Hey there YouTube, welcome back to another Black Powder update, a rather delayed one. Now, I've got kind of an announcement. Now, I think I've mentioned it in a couple of videos, and if you managed to sort of last out to the end of my last video, I think I mentioned it again, that I'm basically going to be, because of things that are sort of going on in my life at the moment, I am going to sort of disappear from YouTube for a relatively short period of time. We're talking maybe 2 or 3 months, possibly a little bit more. I'm not exactly sure, but hopefully it's not too much longer than that. Obviously, I'm basically not going to be doing any more sort of painting. I'm under so much sort of stress and anxiety and stuff at the minute that I just can't really sit down. I can't really sit down and do anything for any sort of period of time. I become restless very quickly, so I've only really been able to do sort of like a couple of hours painting a day, and some of those I had to kind of sort of force myself. The sort of situation where, you know, I've got to do some painting, I don't really feel like it, but when I actually come in here and start, then I actually sort of settle down, because I always find painting very relaxing, but it's actually, my mindset won't allow me to sit for longer than sort of shorter periods of time. So these guys have basically ended up taking me double the amount of time. Now, as you look at these sort of the positions of these figures, these are like the alternate types of figures that you can get from Perry's. They do the marching ones, and they do these, the sort of firing position ones. I mean, the positions, they're nice figures, but the positions are kind of a little bit all over the place, and I must admit, I did have to do a bit of planning to sort of try and make the bases look interesting, because they're all so randomised, and they're also obviously all in the same position, so it's kind of you know, quite hard work to try and come up with some good sort of base designs, but I think in the end that this sort of worked out okay. And as you see when I get to the closer look in, you'll be able to see. So let's give you the blurb on these boys. So these chaps are the 25th Belgian Jaeger, or Jaeger. They numbered 605 men, and they're commanded by a Colonel D.P.J. Arnold. So let's get straight into it. We'll start off with the rear flanker company. Now these guys are the only sort of puzzle piece stand within the battalion. Let me just zoom back a little bit actually. There we go. So these guys have got 2 firing position guys. These are obviously the flankers. 2 firing position guys at the front. Now originally I was going to put them at the back, but obviously the muskets kind of came extremely close to these guys, the guys at the back who would have been in the front's heads, and it just looked funny, so I decided to put them in the front. Now obviously when they're part of the battalion, these muskets sort of stick in front of the guys ahead of them, but they do slot in, so that's the main reason why I decided to have these guys at the front, because they just look better when they're a stand on their own. But however, they do still line up with the rest of the battalion, which is something that I'm always quite a stickler for. I hate raggedy looking battalions that don't sit flush with each other. So yeah, these are, like I say, some pretty nice positions. You got the 2 firing guys. You got the guy ramming home his charge, and you got a guy who's maybe, well, he could be in 2 positions. This guy could be setting back half cock to start loading, or alternatively he could be getting ready to go to full lock, so therefore he's just slightly ahead of this guy reloading. That's probably what I'd go for actually. So that's the first company of flankers, and as you can see, they kind of slot in quite nicely into the unit in front. So let's go for the 4th company now. Again, we've got similar sort of positions here. I did trim off the moustache on this chap, so this guy here has got the moustache, and I made him a sergeant, so he's an NCO. And again, we got similar sort of firing poses here. Obviously, sort of working with what you got. but still, I mean, they're certainly nice positioned figures, but there's certainly no firing line, if you know what I mean. So yeah, that's the 4th company. Then we shall go for the 2nd company of flankers. Now for these boys I decided to use the 2nd bugler that you get in the command pack. I thought, you know what, rather than just use another repeat figure from the original, you know, the original sort of 6 sculpts that you got to work with, I'll use up the 2nd bugler, because he is kind of not only has he got a moustache, which is good for putting him in with the flankers, but also he's a slightly different figure basically, and he would go to waste if I didn't use him, you know, because there's no more Jaeger units left to do. I think I've got like 5 figures left over, which is a little bit of a shame. I suppose you could say that's kind of one of my little bugbears about having to buy smaller packs of figures. You always end up getting more than you need. But yeah, nice little stand in the end, I think. Of course, flankers because of the pom-poms and the yellow tops, the tufts on the shakos. So that is the 2nd company of flankers. Next up, we'll go for the musician unit, because they're directly in front. So here we have the musician unit, and although they really should have a drum, there's no sort of options to give them a drum. So I decided to just use the 2nd bugler. Now you can see this guy, although he's in a fairly similar position, his left arm's different, and he's holding his bugle just a slightly different angle to the one behind him. But this guy hasn't got a moustache, which I thought was quite cool. That's part of the reason I decided to use both of them. And then we've got 3 randomly, well, not randomly positioned, they are kind of, I tried to sort of stick the right, as close as possible sort of positions to troops reloading. So for instance, this guy here is just biting his cartridge, this guy here is just getting a new cartridge out, so they're just, maybe they've been given, like, you know, fire at will or whatever. And he's just slightly behind the guy next to him. And of course there's one, because of lack of using these position figures, I decided to put one onto this base, because he's at the front and he won't be interfering with anyone. So it just makes a little bit of a difference. And they are nice position figures, these guys. So that is the musician stand. Next up will be the traditional NCO stand. Now for this particular stand, again I decided to use one of these guys with a moustache to be an NCO, and you can see his silver chevron there, marking him as a sergeant. And then we have sort of 2 randomised guys, this guy ramming it home, this guy just getting a new cartridge, and then we have an officer, an extra officer in the background. I decided to put him, originally I was going to sort of have him at the front, replacing the sergeant, but I thought, well, it looks like he's sort of shouting out an order, so therefore if I put him at the back, it looks as if he's sort of shouting an order to, like, the front rank, rather than you know, being at the front and sort of shouting out generally, sort of thing. And also because he's at a slightly more resting position as well, I thought that would be a fitting place for him to go, because of course each of these stands kind of represents a company of men, so you know, every company would be commanded by a captain, so even though this guy's actually a lieutenant, so, but there you go, that's the NCO stand. And finally, we always know my favourite stand is always the command stand. Now, the keen-eyed ones of you will notice that I've actually put the wrong flag on these guys. I should have put the blank flag on. So I thought, well, I think I'll leave it for now, because, you know, you can kind of look at it 2 ways. It's like, well, there's no Dutch Jaeger in this particular division, where there was one in the 2nd, So theoretically, I could give these guys this flag because it's different to the one in the you know, the other unit of Belgian Jaeger that are in the 2nd Brigade. But I kind of said to myself that the ones without the wreaths are the ones are sort of the Belgians. So you know, theoretically, I should really change the flag. I mean, I have got it. I mean, I really don't know how I managed to pick up the wrong one. That's the correct flag that they should have had, and that's the flag that they ended up with. I mean, it's basically the same flag, just apart from the wreath. So I haven't decided yet, but I probably will end up swapping it around eventually, but just not for now. Because, like I say, even though it's wrong to my own standards, it could theoretically, you know, you could theoretically use it because it's a different flag to the other unit. Just making them a little bit unique. So I don't know, I might keep it or I might not, who knows. Either way, the other flag's spare, so it doesn't make any difference really. So that is the flag. We have the flag bearer. He looks like quite a young chap. He's probably you know, maybe he's like 17 or 18 or 19. Yeah, obviously he's probably like an ensign, or a lowly lieutenant. We have the captain behind, with the gold epaulette and the gold sleeve on his epaulette. I do quite like this figure. He's certainly one of my favourite of all the command standing commands, with his sort of sabre drawn and his pistol. And then finally we have the colonel. Now this guy is a Perry's Colonel. I decided to get another box of the Perry's Colonels in because I used one box during the 2nd Netherlands, and I thought, well, I've got mainly elite command to sort of come, so I'll get in a box of another box of Perry's Colonels to sort of fill in. I think I've already converted the Belgian officer into a militia officer by swapping heads. And I might possibly do the same to the line officer, because I have actually got a mounted line officer from front rank, I believe, but I'll sort of decide that as I come to it. I've given him, obviously he's got standard sort of colonel's uniform. I went for the green and yellow shabrack. I couldn't actually find any details on what sort of shabracks regimental colonels used. I mean, chances are they might have used blues, but I thought, well, this guy has a green uniform, so the chances are he would duplicate that on his shabrack. So I think it looks good, and I suppose it's also sort of it's close to the sort of Nassau colours, which could be a reason why not to use it. But I checked up on what I did with my other one, and I used the green and the yellow for him. So I thought, you know what, I'll just do it again and use it again. Horse-wise, the horse is, I suppose you could just call it like a sort of a brown horse. It's sort of closing towards a bay, but it's not quite a bay. It's just got a little bit of white on it. It doesn't have any sort of socks or anything. It's just that one little white triangle and a little dot of white on his ear. Just a bog standard brown horse, really, which is seemed to be the horses that they generally used, from sort of artwork and drawings and stuff. And yeah, quite a nice colonel figure. And that's that. That's the end of this little look at the 35th Belgian Jaeger. So I hope you enjoyed it. Thank you again to everyone who decides to actually watch my videos. I hope you enjoy them, and a big thank you to some out of the blue mystery subscribers again. I I hadn't really looked at my channel for well over a week, and I think I'd lost 2 subscribers just out of the blue. So I was down to like 562, and then just out of the blue, I think I've had like 6 or 7 subscribers sort of just appear again, of which I think only 2 are actually came up in my inbox. So obviously 5 of them are the ones that don't have their privacy on or whatever. But that took me by surprise, and you know, I'm slowly creeping up towards 570 now, which is pretty good. So who knows? Maybe I'll get to 700 by the end of this year. Who knows? Anyway, let's call it an end here. So a temporary goodbye to everyone. Obviously, you can still contact me if you do need to sort of get hold of me. Either put in the comments, or obviously I've got obviously I'll still be popping up on various forums and stuff. Although I probably won't be posting anything because obviously I'm not going to be really doing any painting. But I'll still be around, and of course I will definitely be back. So until next time. Unless I might possibly do a little impromptu video which doesn't involve me painting something. I'll catch you all next time. So until then, bye bye.